Okay, so we are on the bottom of Daf Nun Tes Amud Beis. We're going to start where it says, "V'loi b'tabas she'ein aleh choisem." It said in the Mishnah that a woman may not walk out on Shabbos with a ring that has no signet, which means that this kind of ring is a piece of jewelry, and this is what Chazal answered as the part of the jewelries, that a woman may not walk out on Shabbos because she could show it off to her friends, take it off and show it off. So the Gemara now explains. Zok the Gemara v'loi b'tabas she'ein aleh choisem. Ha yesh aleh choisem, a ring that does have a signet. Chayeves, if she walks out with it on Shabbos, it's not a gzeira mid'Rabbanan. She's chayev min ha'Torah because it's not even a piece of jewelry. She's just carrying it as a burden to take it from one place to another, and therefore she would be chayev chatas. Zok the Gemara alma. So what I see from this is lav tachshetu, that a ring that has a choisem is not a piece of jewelry. I'll ask you a question from the following Mishnah regarding Hilchas Tumah. This is in Mishnah in Kalim. Mishnah there says, Tachshitei noshim, jewelry of women, Tmeim, are Tameh. They're susceptible to Tumah. The Elohein Tachshitei noshim, these are the Tachshitei noshim that are susceptible to Tumah. Katla ois, which we had before, a katla, which was this bib worn around the neck very tightly, or any of these chokers that are worn around the neck. It's one kind of jewelry. Nizamim, nose rings, tabois, and other rings that are worn on the finger. The tabas, then the Mishnah there says, tabas, when we talk about a ring, bein sheyesh aleh choisem, whether it has a choisem, whether it has a signet, bein she'ein aleh choisem, whether it does not have a choisem, either way, this is a piece of jewelry that is susceptible to tumah. V'nizmei ha'af, and also nose rings. So before, when it mentioned nizamim, it was actually talking about earrings, and here we're talking about nose rings. Either way, the point is, we see clearly in this Mishnah, when it comes to tumah, we consider it to be a piece of jewelry, whether it has a choisem, whether it does not have a choisem. In our Mishnah, in Hilchas Shabbos here, it's saying that a woman that's carrying a ring that has a signet, she's carrying. It's not a jewelry, piece of jewelry. If it is a piece of jewelry, it does not have a signet, then it's a piece of jewelry, so then it's only a gzeira mid'Rabbanan. So we have a contradiction here. And for the Gemara, Rab Zeira said, Loi kashya. This is not a question. Ha Rab Nechemya, ha Rabbanan. Our Mishnah will be following the opinion of Rab Nechemya, and the Mishnah in Kalim follows the opinion of the Rabbanan. And the Gemara brings the source. The Tanya we learned in Abraisa, he shall matches. So this Braisa is also talking about a ring. And the question again is the susceptibility to Tumah. We had this Braisa quoted before already on Daf Nun Beis. And the point here is, when it comes to pshute kli'etz, any piece of wood that's flat, that doesn't have a shape of a keli, a receptacle, is not tomei. When it comes to metal, that's not the halacha. By metal, even if it's flat, it can become tomei. So now we have a ring that's partially metal and partially wood. He shall matchis, if the ring itself is from a metal material, but v'chaisma shal almaig, and the signet is made from almaig, which is a kind of wood, tmeya, so then it's tomei, because the ring is made up of metal. He shall almaig, the other way around, but if the ring itself is made of wood, but v'chaisma shal matchis, only the signet is made from metal, so then tahira, then it's tahir. In other words, we follow what is the main part of this ring. The ring itself, is it made of metal? It's susceptible to tumah. If it's made of wood, it's not susceptible to tumah. Rab Nechemya would say that if the signet is made from metal, so then it becomes tameh. In other words, Rab Nechemya's opinion is we have to look at the choisem. That's the main purpose of this ring, and therefore it depends what the choisem is made out of. And therefore, in the case where the choisem is made of metal, it's tameh. And the other way around, as Taisus here says, if the choisem is made of wood, even if the rest of the ring is made of metal, it'll be tahir. Rab Nechemya would say as follows: when it comes to a ring, you have to follow the signet. That's the main use of what this ring is for. But oil, if you have a yoke that is on an animal, halech achar samloinov, you have to follow the pegs The pegs is what holds it together, so that enables the yoke to be able to function, so that has its main function and purpose. So therefore you follow, if the pegs are made of metal, so then it becomes tamei. Bekailov, when it comes to some kind of a display board that they use in front of stores to hang things on it, halech acha masmereisov. You have to see what, again, causes its main function, which is the nails that hold it. Besulam, in a ladder, halech acha sanad, they used to hang go back a second, they used to hang on these nails, they used to hang these things to present for people in front of the store. So you have to look at the nails, the main function of it. Besulam, halech acha shlivaisov, in a ladder, so you have the ladder could be made out of wood or out of metal. So you have to look at what the shlivais, at the rungs of the ladder are made out of. And one more, he says, Ba'arsi halech acha shal shaloisov, comes to a scale that has the two scales on both sides, and it's hung with chains. So the chains is what is the main function that it had, that the pans of the scale hang on. So you have to look at whether they are made of metal or wood. That's the opinion of Rab Meir. Who are we talking about? Sorry, not Rab Meir, but we're talking about Rab Nechemia. However, the Chacham's opinion is Hakoil Hoilach Achara Maimed. You don't look at its main function, what it's used for, but you look at what the main thing is supporting it. What's the main existence of this thing that supports it? So Lamashal, it comes to the ladder, so you don't look at the rungs, but you look at the other parts of the ladder that support the rungs. It comes to the ring, you don't look at the signet of the ring, what it's made up of, but you look at the ring itself, which is the main thing that supports the signet that the person wears the ring on the finger with. So therefore we see over here two opinions, whether we look at the ring, at the signet of the ring itself, is that the main thing that we look at regarding Tumah? Or no, fakert, we look at the whole ring itself to see what is the material of the ring itself. So the same applies also over here, b'negei to our Mishnah in Hilchos Shabbos. So in our Mishnah, Rab Nechemia holds you have to look at the signet. That's the main thing. And therefore, since a ring that has a chaisim, it's not the derech of the women to wear it, so therefore she's going to be chayiv chatas for wearing it. A ring that does not have that chaisim, it is the derech of the women to wear it as a piece of jewelry, so therefore it's only going to be asim d'Rabbanan. We focus on the chaisim. So the Mishnah is machalik and whether it has a chaisim or not. Mashenkin in the Braise, that does not make a difference whether it has a chaisim or not, is because we're looking at the ring itself, the support, the main thing of the ring that you wear, and therefore in both cases it's susceptible to tumah. This is one answer. Was this Abzaida's answer, I believe it was, right? Yeah. Gemara brings another answer. Rava says, let's dodim ketoni. In the Braise, in the statement, the Mishnah of Kalim, that is, over there, you have to read it as two separate cases. Even though it mentioned that both a ring with a chaisim, a ring without a chaisim, both are susceptible to tumah, but it's really two separate cases. And this is how you read it. Yeshaleh chaisim, if it has a signet, tachshe te ish. So then it's a piece of jewelry for men. And that's why it becomes tamei. Ein aleh chaisim, if it does not have a signet, tachshe te isha. Then it's a piece of jewelry for women. And therefore, it becomes tamei being a piece of jewelry for women. But the Mishnah there is not saying that whether it has a chaisim, whether it does not have a chaisim, that it's a jewelry for a woman. So in our Mishnah, when we're discussing about women going out on Shabbos with their jewelry, if it has a chaisim, it's not a piece of jewelry for women. So they're carrying it as a burden. So you chayiv min ha-Torah. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak answers, Tumah a Shabbos karamis. You're comparing a Mishnah in Kalim that discusses a halacha of Tumah to our Mishnah that discusses the halacha of carrying on a Shabbos. It's no comparison b'chlal. Tumah kli ma'asam rachmana. Regarding Tumah, the Torah says any keli that's used for something is going to be susceptible to Tumah. So therefore, whether it has a signet, whether it doesn't, it's a keli that's being used for something, and therefore it's susceptible to tumah. The keli, so it's a keli. Shabbos, however, over here when it comes to carrying, what's the issur of carrying? Mishum masoi. Over here the issur is if he's carrying it as a burden, not if it's being worn as a garment or as a piece of jewelry. So it has to be defined as a burden to be asur. So therefore over here we make this distinction. If it does not have a signet tachshit, then it's a piece of jewelry, so it's only asa that is midrabanan. Yesh alei chaisim, but if it has a signet, even though it's a keli, and for tumah it's going to be tameh, but regarding Shabbos it's not anymore considered to be a piece of jewelry, and therefore masli, it's a burden, and yechayev min hatayra. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak doesn't need any of these answers. He says, l'chatchila, there's no comparison between Tumah and Shabbos. The next thing and the last thing that the Gemara discusses that we learned in the first Mishnah in this Perek was, V'loi b'machat she'eina nekuva. A woman may not walk out with a pin that does not have the eye in the needle. A needle that doesn't have the eye in the needle. Okay, so this is again a piece of jewelry that Chazal will geize she shouldn't walk out with. Sagt the Gemara, Lemai Chazye. What is this needle worn as? It's worn as a kind of piece, a jewelry. It's not worn as, it's not a masui. It's not just a burden that she's carrying or wearing on herself, but it's actually worn for a certain purpose as a piece of jewelry. But why? What kind of a piece of jewelry is this? Rav Yosef says, Hayol v'isha oigeres basayra. A woman uses this to collect the hair, to pin her hair together. So therefore, it's a piece of jewelry, and it's not just a burden, and you only chayev it's only aser that is midrabanan. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye said, if this is a pin, a needle that's used to collect the hair, v'tehevi kibiris tahira. Let it be like the biris, which is tahira. What's this biris? So Rashi says, this is a belt that was used to hold up the stockings of a woman. So this is a kind of belt that we're not concerned that a woman is going to remove when she's walking in the street. She wants to keep herself tzniazdik and her stockings are going to fall. Same thing over here with using a needle to collect her hair. Why would we be chayshish that she's going to remove that in the Rishus HaRabim and her hair will fall out? She wants to leave her hair covered. This is one of the things we said before regarding certain head coverings, that there's no gzeira of chazal on it because we don't have the concern that she's going to remove her head covering. So why over here are we concerned that she's going to remove this pin? So v'tehevi kibiris tahira, this biris also happens to be tahira, it's not susceptible to tumah, but that's a side point. V'tishtiri, and therefore over here as well, this pin should be allowed to go out in the Rishus HaRabim. So the Gemara therefore rejects this interpretation. Abaye at least does. El l'tirgemer of Ada Nisha Kamed Rav Yosef. So Rav Ada Nisha said in front of Rav Yosef a different pshat. Hoyel v'isha chelekes pasayra. She doesn't use it to collect her hair. She uses it to separate her hairs with this pin. Fragt the Gemara, if she's using it to separate her hairs, b'Shabbos l'may chazya. On Shabbos, how is this fit for use at all? On Shabbos, you're not allowed to separate your hairs. We had this already before in the Gemara. You're not allowed to comb your hair and do things like that on Shabbos because you could come to pull out hairs. So how could this be used on Shabbos? Omar Rave, so Rave says, Tas shel zahav yesh la al reisha. It has like a gold piece on the top of this pin, and b'choil during the week chelekes basayra. It's used to separate hairs. But b'Shabbos, manichasa keneged padachta, but on Shabbos she just puts it near her forehead, and it's used as like a piece of jewelry. So the same thing that during the week is used to separate hairs, but on Shabbos it has a nice piece of gold at the end of it, and therefore on Shabbos she does stick in this needle, and she uses it as a piece of jewelry. That's the pshat of what the Mishnah is talking about, and here Chazal were geyser that she shouldn't walk out with it on Shabbos. Sagt the Mishnah, Lo yetze ha'ish b'sandal amasumah. Now the Mishnah turns to those things that a man should not walk out with, although l'chayre it applies even to women as well. But I guess it was more common regarding these things that it talks about over here. Some of them is only by men, so therefore it talks about the ish. Lo yetze ish b'sandal amasumah. A man should not go out with a kind of sandal that has many nails in it. Right? This is a sandal that has a wooden sole and it has a leather top, and they connect it with nails that go into the sole, and it goes through the sole and it sticks out on the bottom, and there are many nails sticking out on this sandal on the bottom of the sole. That's the kind of sandal basically this is. So she's not allowed to walk out with it, or a man that is not allowed to walk out with it on Shabbos. The Gemara will explain why this is. Actually, most of the Gemara we're going to learn today is going to be all about this Gzeira of Chazal regarding this sandal, which is not really applicable today. I don't think, and I don't know of any kind of a sandal similar to this that exists today. But I did see a similar thing, benigay to not walking out with certain kinds of shoes on Shabbos. What kind of shoes is there a problem walking out with today in Shabbos? So the answer is, if you walk out in Yom Kippur with shoes that are leather shoes and you're not allowed to wear them, so perhaps because there's an issur for you to wear them, wearing those shoes on Shabbos could be carrying. So that's the only case today applicable Sheminchas Chinuch talks about. Whether this is an example for not being allowed to walk out with those shoes on Shabbos. Dr. Mishnah Vaiter, V'loi bi yachid, and you're not allowed to walk out with one shoe. As Rashi here says, because if a person's wearing one shoe, people can laugh at him and he might come to take off that one shoe and carry it. Or if people see him walking with one shoe, they're going to think that he must be holding his other shoe somewhere under his jacket. So he's carrying on Shabbos. It looks like he's carrying on Shabbos. Bisman she'ein beraglei makkah. If there's no wound on his foot. As the Gemara will explain this and we'll see. V'loi b'tfilin, you're not allowed to go out on Shabbos wearing tefillin in the Rishus Harabim. V'loi b'kameya, and not with a amulet, b'zman she'einoi min amumche. If it's not from an expert that made this amulet. V'loi b'shiryoin, and not with body armor. V'loi b'kasta, and not with a helmet. V'loi b'magafayim, and not with armor that is made for the legs. V'im yotza, in any of these cases, if you did go out with them on Shabbos, ein chayiv chatos, he's not chayiv chatos, because it's only a gzeira of Chazal that you're not allowed to go out with them, but minat Torah, they could be considered to be like a garment that a person is wearing, and therefore there's no chayiv chatos minat Torah. So the Gemara, as I said, will discuss here for the whole in the Gemara over here that we're going to learn today, this sandal hamasumar, this sandals with nails in it. Sandal hamasumar, my time. What's the reason that Chazal made a takana not to wear this sandal hamasumar on Shabbos? Omar Shmuel, so Shmuel brings the following story that happened that caused them to make this gzeira. Shalafi gzeira, because of a gzeira that happened, there was a gzeira. V'hoyu nechboin b'mayra, and the Yidden, there were people that were hiding in a cave. V'amru, they said there, and when they were hiding, hanichnas yikanis, whoever wants to enter could enter, but v'yaytza al ayetze, whoever wishes to leave should not leave. So they shouldn't be, their location should not be disclosed. Nepach sandalei shel echad mehem, so one of the people that walked in, so this sandal, you were able to put your feet into the sandal either way, from both directions, and therefore the footprints that it left on the ground over there, it seemed like that someone was walking out, and even though he was walking in, and they saw these footprints and they were afraid that someone walked out. So kisvuren heim echad mem yatsa, they thought, based on the footprints, they saw that someone walked out. V'ra'u oivim, and definitely the enemies know that they're here now. V'achshav ba'an alein, and they're going to come now and attack us. So dochku zeh b'zeh, v'hargu zeh ezeh. So they rushed out, and dochku zeh b'zeh, as they were rushing out, and they were wearing these sandals with these nails that stick out on the bottom of the sole, and they dochku zeh b'zeh pressed into one another, and they killed each other yeiser mima shehargu bem oivin, more than any of the enemies would kill from them. So this was a terrible incident that happened. Rabbi Loi ben Elazar shares a similar incident that happened at another time. They were sitting in a cave, and they heard sound on top of the cave. They heard walking on top of the cave. So again, they were thinking that their enemies are coming to attack them, and they wanted to escape. So as they were escaping, they pressed the nails of these sandals into one another, and they killed one another, even more than any of the enemies would have killed amongst them. Taisus here says that besides the fact that when they were escaping, the nails were pressed into each other and killed one another, also because the people that were walking on the top were wearing these kind of nailed sandals, so it made a noise on top of the cave that caused them to get afraid. A third incident, the Gemara says, Rami by Yecheskel Amar, Bebeis HaKnesses HaYeshvim. They were sitting in the shul. V'sham Mukar Machayre Beis HaKnesses. They heard noise from walking outside of the Beis HaKnesses. Whoever was walking with these sandals with the nails on the bottom of the sole, and it made a lot of noise. Kisvurim Hayu Shabah Malem Oivim. They thought they were being attacked by enemies. Doch Guzebezeh, as they were escaping, they pressed one another, V'hor Guzezeh, and they killed one another. More than any of the enemies killed amongst them. So at this time, when these incidents happened, or perhaps one of the incidents happened, there's different versions of which one happened, or all of them happened. Amru, Chazal said, Al Yetze Adam Besandal HaMesumar. A person should not go out on Shabbos with these sandals that have these nails in it. So the Gemara asks the obvious question, if so, B'chayil Nami Litzer. If the Gzeira is because we see what kind of danger it is to wear them, so during the week it should also be also to wear. So the Gemara answers, Maise ki have b'Shabbos have. These incidents, when they took place, it happened on Shabbos. Because it happened on Shabbos, Chachamim limited their Gzeira only to Shabbos. So as the Mefarshim explain here, Rashi doesn't say anything, but as the Rishonim explain here, it's two pshatim with this. I mean, either the simple pshat in the Gemara is Chachamim weren't really that concerned that this incident will repeat itself again. So therefore they did make the Gzeira that it shouldn't happen again, but they limited it to the day and the time and the time that the Gzeira happened, which is only on Shabbos. Or other Mefarshim say, Chazal, even more than this, Chazal weren't really concerned that this is going to happen again, but since it happened on Shabbos, so when it came Shabbos, they didn't want people to wear these sandals, so not to remind them of this incident that happened and become sad about, oh, these sandals brings up bad memories of this terrible incident that happened. That's the reason why they made this Gzeira specifically on Shabbos. Zog the Gemara weiter. B'yomtiv, if so, b'yomtiv lishtiri. It should be allowed to be worn on Yontif. This happened on Shabbos. It's a Gzeira specifically for Shabbos. Allah matnan. Why did we learn in a Mishnah? We'll skip the parentheses. And it says, Avaloi sandal amesumar. Not, on Yontif, you can't wear a sandal amesumar, these sandals with these nails. And also not a shoe that's not sewn, it's an unsewn shoe and it can't be used on Yontif, so you can't send it as a gift to Yontif because both of these can't be used on Yontif. So we see clearly that it can't be used on Yontif. So the Gemara says, B'Shabbos my time, the reason on Shabbos why it can't be used is the Ikke Knufya, because it's a time that people gather. B'Yontif nami Ikke Knufya. On Yontif as well, there's a gathering, people gather on Yontif, and therefore the same Gzeira applied, they applied also to Yom Tov, which is similar to Shabbos. For the Gemara, if that's the case, because Shabbos and Yom Tov are similar, that people gather, Tainis Tzibur Ikke Knufya. On a Tainis Tzibur, there's also a time of gathering, and then the Gzeira should apply then as well. So the Gemara answers, Maise ki have beknufya di Yisura. The story that happened that we mentioned before was on a knufya that it's a time on Shabbos when it's asa to do malacha, and that's why people come and gather together on Shabbos and Yontif to daven. Hacha knufya dat teira have. The gathering on a fast day is a gathering which is no issa malacha. It's a gathering that the Yidden are fasting, but there's a time that it's mutav malacha, and therefore the Gzeira does not apply then. They only made the Gzeira on Shabbos and Yontif, which is a time which is asa b'malacha, and also this is connected to what I said before, the Dafka on Shabbos and Yontif, which is a time which is also b'melacha, and it's a time to celebrate. So Chachamim did not want to make a Gzeira the Chachamim did not want people to wear these sandals in order not to make people sad. But on a Tainis Tzibur, when that doesn't apply, so Chachamim did not make the Gzeira then. Now the Gemara adds a similar concept, but we find the Gzeira where Chachamim made the Gzeira in a very, very limited fashion. This is a Gzeira by Para Aduma, as we'll see right here. Chanina ben Akiva, the Omar, that he said, so what is this talking about? This is talking about the Mei Chatos, the waters of the Para Aduma, that there was a case that they were bringing the water of the Para Aduma on a boat on the Yarden. And then they discovered that in that boat there was a kezayis of a dead body. And therefore the Mei Chatos of the Para Aduma became rendered unfit for use, and that was a very terrible thing. It's not so easy to make the water for the para aduma. So from that time, there were geyser that you're not allowed to take the mei chatas in a boat or on a bridge over the water, in any circumstance over the water. But Rab Chanina came and said that the whole Isser is dafke in a boat and over the Yarden, because that's how the story happened when they discovered the kezayis of the mace in the boat, so therefore they limited it to that. Right? So if so, over here also, just like over there was Kemaisa Shahaya, so why shouldn't we say the same thing over here? That the Gzeira of Chazal regarding these sandals should only be Kemaisa Shahaya, which was on Shabbos. And we shouldn't apply it to any other case, including not Yom Tov, even though it's similar to Shabbos, even though there's a Knufya like Shabbos. So the Gemara explains, even according to Rab Chanina ben Akiva, that over there says that the Gzeira of Chazal applies only to the Yarden and to the Sfina Kemaisa Shahaya, Hanimili Yarden. Over there, they applied it only to the Yarden, the Shani Mishar Naris. It's different than all other rivers. It's not as wide, it's not as deep. It's a different kind of a river, so it's very different, and therefore the Gzeira was applied only by the Yarden and not by any other rivers, not by any other cases. Avol, Yom Tov and Shabbos, but when it comes to Yom Tov and Shabbos, over here, even though the incident happened on Shabbos, he would agree that we apply it to Yom Tov as well. Ki Yadadin, because they're basically the same. The Tnan, we learned in the Mishnah, Ein ben Yom Tov l'Shabbos ela oichel nefesh b'lvad. The only difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov is oichel nefesh, that Chazal the Torah allows to prepare things for oichel nefesh, but otherwise the Issa Melacha on Shabbos and Yom Tov is the exact same, and therefore the Zayda applies to both the same. Okay. So this is a very interesting thing over here, this Takan of Chazal. The basis of our Gemara, it seems, is that this Takan of Chazal not to wear these sandals was a very, very limited and specific Takana, only applying to the way the story happened, and as we'll see more in the rest of the Gemara here, this is the basis of the whole Gemara, that the Gzeira is dafke in a very specific way, the way Chazal originally designed the Gzeira, and not in any other cases. Let's see. Dr. Gemara Rav Yudah Mashmuel. Rav Yudah Mashmuel says, Loishanu elo lechazik. The only time this Gzeira was made not to walk out with these kind of sandals is if the nails are there, like what they're made for, to hold it together, to hold the leather and the wooden sole together. Aval lenoi, but if you're putting nails into the sandal for decorative purposes, so then mutter, then it's allowed. That's the Gzeira doesn't apply then. The kama lenoi, and how many nails in the sandal would be the maximum that you would say that it's only there for beauty, and it's not there, that's not the derech of how this sandal is made. Yechanan Omar, chamish bezeh, v'chamish bezeh. 5 in this sandal and 5 in the other sandal. Rab Chanina Omar, Rab Chanina says, sheva bezeh, v'sheva bezeh. 7 in each sandal. That's the maximum amount of nails that's allowed, that it's only for the purpose of beauty, and we don't say that it's similar to the way these sandals are regularly made, which is with much more nails. And I'll explain to you what the meaning of this number is. Lididi, according to my opinion, that it's 5 for the beauty. Shtayim mikan v'shtayim mikan. It's allowed to have 2 on each side of the sandal. V'achas b'tarsi yisov, and 1 by the straps. Rab Chanina is more lenient. He says gimel mikan v'gimel mikan. You could have 3 nails on each side of the sandal for beauty. V'achas b'tarsi yisov, and 1 by the straps. So the Gemara now brings a question from Abraisa Meisvei. We learned in Abraisa sandal hanoite. If you have a sandal where the sole is getting worn out, like it happens with shoes when you wear them for a long period of time, so one side of the sole gets rubbed out because the person's the way he walks, and therefore now you want to make the sole should be more balanced. So what do? Sheva. You're allowed to put in nails over there at the bottom of the sole to balance it out. How many nails are you allowed to put in? 7 nails. Divrei Reb Nosson. That's Reb Nosson's opinion. V'Rebbe Matebiyud Gimel. Rebbe allows to put in 13 nails for this purpose, and it's not going to be compared to the regular way these sandals are made with the nails that Chazal asr. Up to 13, that's okay. So now the question is on Rab Yochanan. Bishlam Rab Chanina. Hudama Karab Nasan. Chanina, that says that you're allowed to put in up to 7 nails for the purpose of beauty, and it's not going to be like the way these sandals are usually made. He's following what Rab Nasan here said, 7 nails. El Rab Yechanan the Amar Kaman. But according to Rab Yechanan, that says you can put only 5, whose opinion is he following? That's the Gemara. Hudama Karab Neiroi. There's another brayse. There's a third opinion, Rab Neiroi. The Tanya Rab Neiroi. Hey mutter v'sheva aser. For beauty, you could put in only 5 nails into these sandals and not 7. 7 will already be like the way these sandals are regularly made, and therefore that will be part of the Gzeir of Chazal. Amalei Eifa le Rabba Baba Chana. Eifa said to Rabba Baba Chana, Atun Talmide Rab Yechanan, Avide Rab Yechanan. You are students of Rab Yechanan, so you should follow the opinion of Rab Yechanan. And be more stringent about this. Only 5 nails. Anan Avide Rab Chanina. We, however, will follow like the opinion of Rab Chanina. You could put up to 7. Ravuna asked Ravashi, Chomesh Mahu, so he asked him this question, is 5 allowed? Amalei Afil Zayin. Not only 5, we follow the opinion that even 7 is allowed. Tesmai, then he asked him, how about 9? Amalei, don't push it. Afil Ches Aser. Even 8 would also be forbidden. Okay, Zakt the Gemara. So we see how specific this Gzeira over here was. Chazal made this Gzeira about these sandals with these nails. It was a very, very specific Gzeira, the way these sandals are made. Not if it's made differently, if it's just put there for beauty and so on, so then the Gzeira doesn't apply. I think we can say, what we see over here from different things we learned in this Pedic is that there are a few different categories of Gzeiras of Chazal. There are those Gzeiras of Chazal where we say loy plug. Once they make a Gzeira, even if the rule and the reason of the rule doesn't apply, but loy plug, we leave the Gzeira in place even then. Then there are certain Gzeiras that Chazal made with a very specific reason, and when the reason is there, the Gzeira applies. If not, not. That we saw regarding jewelry. When the Gzeira and the concern that a woman might take off her jewelry and show it to others applies, it applies. By Isha Chashuva, or in today's day and age where women do not remove their jewelry in the street, the Gzeira does not apply. Here we sort of have a third category. Chazal made a Gzeira with a very, very specific design regarding the way these sandals are designed. That's when the Gzeira applies. If it's made with 1 nail less, a little different, so then the Gzeira doesn't apply. The Gzeira L'Chatchila was an extremely limited Gzeira, even if theoretically you could argue that the reason for the Gzeira still applies, but if it's not the way these sandals are made originally, and regularly, the Gzeira does not apply. That's what it seems. The Gemara goes weiter, there was a shoemaker that asked Rabami, Tofrei mi bifnim machu. So these sandals had these leather tops and soles that were made from wood, and it was a sandal. But what's if he put inside other leather, softer leather, and inside he made it like a shoe? What would be the din? So outside it looks like this sandal, but inside he put in other materials making it like a shoe. What would be the din? Amalei mutter. In that case, it is mutter. And v'lo yadaina my timer. So Rabbi says, but I don't know what the reason is. Amar Ravashi, so Ravashi said, Amalei Ravashi, Ravashi said to him, V'lo yada mar my timer. You don't know what the reason is? It's pretty simple. Kivin the tafre mibifnim havalei minno. Once on the inside, you put in other material so it becomes like a shoe, and besandal gozer beirabanan. Only by a sandal, Chachamim made this Gzeira, b'minna legozer beirabanan. But once it's a shoe on the inside, the Gzeira Chachamim did not apply. Apparently Rav Ami didn't understand this, because on the outside it still looks the exact same, like a sandal. So why should we care what's going on the inside of it? But again, as I said before, over here Chachamim made their Gzeira very limited, only when it's exactly like this sandal is originally and regularly. Not if on the inside it's a shoe. Boy minei Rababe bar Zavdim Rababe baravine asun. Kimin kalabos mahu. What's if the nails that he puts in are not the regular nails, but they're nails in the shape of sort of a staple? I think in most Gemaras you have the shape on the side, on the left side towards the top of the Yamud, kind of a staple that he put into the shoes instead of the regular kind of nails. Amalei, so he said to him, in that case, mutter. Again, it's allowed, it's not the way these shoes are usually made. These sandals is usually made, and therefore it's mutter. Itmenami, we learned this also on Rav Yosef Bachanina, Asakim and Kalabas. If you put in the nails that are in sort of in a staple shape or in a round shape, it's allowed. Rav Sheshes says, Chifahu kulei b'masmares. How about if he covers the entire sole of these sandals with nails? Why? It's wooden soles, And he doesn't want to walk with these soles on the ground because it's going to get rotted from the earth and the ground, so the wood is going to get rotted, so he puts in nails in the bottom of the entire sole. So what does it say? What's the halacha? Mutter. Again, he's using it in a different way, so therefore it's mutter. Tanya kvasei Rav Sheshes. So we learned like this halacha of Rav Sheshes in a brayse. So here the Gemara brings a lengthy brayse, and one of the things that it's going to say is this halacha of Rav Sheshes. Lo yetzi ish besandal amesumar. A person should not walk out with this sandal which has the nails in it. And not only that, but the Gzeir of Chazal actually was not even to not even move it, according to this opinion. Sorry, just a second, before we come to moving it, the Tanakama says, you're not even allowed to walk with them from one house to another, even if you're not going into a Reshus Harabim. Or even in your own house, going from one bed to another bed, you're not allowed to go with them. Okay, so this is not only Aser going out in the Reshus Harabim, they made the Issa B'chlal to walk with them on Shabbos. However, the Tanakama says you are allowed to move them. They're not muktzah. You're allowed to move them l'chasas by sakeli if you have to cover something. The lismach by karya mitte to lean the legs of a bed. For that, it's allowed. But Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon oiser. Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon says no, it's forbidden. This sandal amesumar is not allowed to be moved at all. Totally oser. Now you're going to come to wear them. If you're allowed to take them from one place to another, so they're sandals, you might just put them on for comfort. Nashru roiv masmeraisov, if most of the nails of the sandal fell out, finishtai by dalid oihei, there are 4 or 5 left, mutter, so then it's allowed. The Gemara will soon explain this part of the Braisa. The Rebbe matir at sheva. Rebbe allows, even if there's 7 left over, it's still allowed. Chifahu ba'oir mumata, you put another layer of oir, of leather on the bottom of it. The kavaloi masmeires mulmaila, or you put other nails on top of it. Mutter, it's allowed, it's not the way it's usually used. Also, kemin kalabos, you've made it like a kalabos. As I said before, that means these nails that are not in the regular shape, but they're made like a staple. Oi kemin tas, Oy kimin yesed, or these nails, the top of the nail does not have the regular top, it has a different top on the shape on the top of the nails is like a bar or like a steak. It's not the regular round shape that is on the top of the nails. Oy shechifo kula b'masmeiros. Or here's the case that Rav Sheshes was talking about. He covered the entire sole with nails, so that it doesn't, the wooden sole does not get rotten from the ground. Mutter, it's allowed. Till here's the Braisa, and we see here in the last case of the Braisa, the case that Rav Sheshes said. But now the Gemara goes back to something that it said before in the Braisa. It spoke about a case where some of the nails of this sandal fell out. So if you look at what it says in the Braisa, we seem to see a contradiction here. Ha gufa kashit, contradicting itself. First the Braisa says nashru roiv masmeraisov. If most of the nails fell out, then it's okay. What would that mean? Even if there are many nails left, even if there's 10, 15, 20 nails that are left, as long as most of the nails fell out, it's fine. And then it says in the Braisa, arba oichamish in, 4 or 5 of the nails fell out. If there's 4 or 5 of nails left, then it's okay. But if there's more than 4 or 5 nails left, then it's not okay. So even if most of the nails fell out, it doesn't matter. What we have to see is whether 4 or 5 of nails are left. So what's going on over here? Rav Sheshes says you have to read the Braisa in 2 statements. Like kashya. Kan shenigmemu, kan shenekru. In a case where the nails that fell out, they didn't really fall out, but what happened was they sort of got totally rubbed out to the point that they became level with the sole. So you can see that there were many more nails there, and most of the nails got totally rubbed out. So in such a case, it's very clear that this sandal is not the way it originally was, so it's allowed, even if there are more than 4 or 5 nails. And kan shenekru, but in a case where some of the nails, or many of the nails, fell out totally, so you can't even tell that those nails were ever there. So only if there's 4 or 5 nails do I say that it's clear that it's not the way this was originally. But if it's more than 4 or 5 nails, so someone might think this is the way it was originally fashioned. It was made with 6 nails, 7 nails, 8 nails, and therefore it looks like the regular sandal amesumah, which the Gzeir of Chazal applies. This is one of the pshatim that Rashi says here in the Gemara. Again, the point is that Chazal only made their takana for these sandals, not to wear them if it's made, or if it still is, the way it's originally and usually fashioned. Now the Gemara goes back to another detail of the Braisa. Arba echamish mutter. So it says if 4 or 5 are left over, so then it's allowed. So hashta chamesh shari arba mipoye. If even 5 nails are left, and that's still permitted, it's not anymore like it was originally fashioned. So 4, needless to say, if another nail fell out, for sure it should be okay. Rav Chisda says, Arba misandal cotton, 4 is speaking about a smaller sandal, v'chomish misandal gadol, and 5 is a larger sandal. The Rebbe mater at Sheva, the Braisa says that Rebbe allows even if there are 7 nails left over. Frekt Gemara Vatanya, but before, earlier on, we had a different Braisa where Rebbe was talking about this sandal that part of the sole was rubbed out, and you want to put in nails to level it out. Over there, Rebbe mater at Shloish Esra. There, Rebbe says you're allowed to put in up to 13 nails to level it out. So why there does Rebbe say only 7 nails is allowed? Answers the Gemara, Neit Shani. If it's a case where the sole is not level and you're evening it out, over here even more is allowed because it's obvious that it's only being put in to level out the sole and it's not the way this sandal is originally made. So now the Gemara says, you're making a difference, and you're saying that case is different because he's just trying to level out the soul. Hashtu the hasas lahachi. Now that you're making this distinction, Rabbi Yochanan nami lekashya. The question that we had earlier in the Amud on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said only 5 nails are allowed when they're made for beauty, and the Gemara asked, but we saw that in the Braise it said that Rebbe and Rab Nosson said that only 7 is allowed, that even more is allowed, that 7 is allowed and 13 is allowed, so why did Rab Yochanan say only 5? So now we could give another answer. Before the Gemara brought Rab Nahiroi, but now the Gemara says we can say Loi Kashya, Neit Shani, in the case where you're trying to level out the soul, over there Chachamim allowed even more. Amarav Masna Vamrla, Amarav Achtabay Bar Masna, Amarav Masna, Ein Halacha Karab Laza Bar Shimon. We're going back to what the argument in the Braise here are, you're allowed to move them. You're certainly not allowed to wear them, not in the Rishus HaRabim and not even in the Rishus HaYachid. The question is, are you allowed to move them? Tanakama said you're allowed, and Rab Laza Bar Shimon said you're not allowed. So we don't pass like Rab Laza Bar Shimon. Frek the Gemara Pshita, of course not. Yachid v'Rabim, Halacha Karabim. He's a Yachid against the Tanakama, the Chacham, which is the Rabbin. Why would we think we pass like him? And says the Gemara, Ma'od Taimim Mistavra Taimim Rab Laza Bar Shimon. I would think maybe this case is different because Rab Laza Rab Shimon's reasoning makes sense, because if a person is allowed to move around these sandals, he might just come to put them on for comfort. Kamash Malan, therefore you have to teach me that we do not paskin like him. Rab Chia said, Ilav, the Karoli Bavloi, Shari Yisure, if not for the fact that the people in Bavel are going to refer to me as somebody that permits things that are forbidden, Sharina Beituva, I would allow to put nails in the sandal for the sake of beauty, many, even more than what was mentioned up until here. The Kama, how many would he have allowed? The Pumpadisa Amrin Esren Varba. And Pumpadisa was said that he said up to 24 nails. Many, much more than what was said till there. Surah Amrin, in Surah they said in the name of Reb Chia, Esren V'tartan, 22 nails. So Rav Nachman commented about this, a funny thing. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak said, V'simonach, your simon is, Ada Asmi Pumpadisa L'Surah, from when he came from Pumpadisa to Surah, Chasret Tarti. He was missing already 2 nails. So Rav Chia came from Eretz Yisrael. He came first from Eretz Yisrael to Pumpadisa, and then from Pumpadisa he went to Surah. Again, he came from Eretz Yisrael. And he came first to Pumpadisa and then to Surah. So he was. So the Gemara says, as if he was walking with these sandals that had these nails. He came to Pumpadisa and it had more nails, had 24 nails in it. And then by the time he got to Surah, it only had 22. But here we see Rab Chia was matter much more. Okay, this is an interesting Gemara about these sandals with these nails. But here we see how Chazal made their Gzeiras, and sometimes the Gzeira is very, very specific, and the Gemara discusses all the details when it applies and when it doesn't apply. Okay, a great day everybody. Atzlacha Rabbah.